So in terms of tangible stuff, I think it's really clear out of what we were able to do in coaching. I was able to kind of get to two offers, but like I think three big companies, all of them offering the least of like a 50% bump with my current pay, almost offering close to 100% bump compared to my previous pay.
Unlock your full potential. Develop a life of success and harmony with Yogi Sharma.
Hey Ashwin, welcome. Thanks for making the time to this call talking about coaching.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's always great talking to you.
Awesome. And before we get started, could you please introduce yourself of your name, where you live, what you do?
I'm Ashwin Pillai. I'm a software engineer by profession, and I'm currently, moving locations, but I'm based in Boston right now.
Before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about where you were before starting to work with us? What were your challenges? What was not working? Or anything of that sort?
I guess before we started, I was already kind of looking for opportunities, like, the next step in my career, moving to another company, another role. And there were a few setbacks on my way, most of which were out of my control, which, led me to repeat the process of the job search. I wouldn't say the whole job search kind of went in vain. Around then I learned a lot of stuff about how to interview, how I interview, like what I need to work on and stuff. But interviewing in general is a very time consuming and, like, mentally, emotionally challenging process. So it did take a toll around then. Like, of course, I was taking time out of going and meeting friends, like taking time out of activities that I love doing, like going to the gym, for example, stuff like that.
And what made
And yeah,
you think of like, oh, maybe coaching will be helpful?
right. So I joined this platform called Taro, where that's the first time I kind of saw your talk, where you were sharing more about like your journey, how you basically got to. I think it was about like getting to $1 billion offer with Uber. That was very interesting for me to hear and very insightful. But like after that, like I just went back to my own. It was another talk I attended on Taro, so I went back to my regular day. But then fast forward, at some point, like reached out on LinkedIn. And of course, I remembered from, your talk. And from there, I think we were able to have an insightful conversation. Yeah, I decided to kind of try out coaching.
And you also mentioned around that time lacking focus, overwhelm, structured approach. Can you talk a little bit about?
So, like, the challenges that I had, I mean, this was like the job search was one of them, but like the other stuff was that, like, without structure, I kind of tend to find it difficult to do things. Like my perspective of what I had for goals, like I would take on a lot of things, but then not really put in effort end to end to kind of like take it from a goal to a finishing point
You will
of
start
working on
things
that.
but not finish them and not follow
Exactly.
through.
So yeah, I would kind of have a lot of ideas and I would start doing things, and but then like somewhere along the line, like my whole idea or interest would kind of change and I would not follow through on those.
This has happened so many times with people. They wanna do job search, they spend a few weeks, few months, and then they drop things because things don't work out, and it happens a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think I realized that the timing of things and like how I'd done the job search, I started reflecting more about like how much time it had consumed, and like, it went nowhere basically. I mean, it did taught me a bunch of things, but like it still didn't give me the outcome that I really wanted. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a failure, but like I came out with offers, but like I ended up not taking them. I didn't go anywhere basically.
I guess that's a good segue for some results you got through coaching. Are there some tangible and intangible results you got through coaching? Can you speak a little bit about either of those?
So in terms of tangible stuff, I think it's really clear out of what we were able to do in coaching. I was able to kind of get to two offers, but like I think three big companies, all of them offering the least of like a 50% bump with my current pay, almost offering close to 100% bump compared to my previous pay.
And part of that was
Uh,
through negotiation, or was it the initial offer?
in terms of the increase in offer, like the initial offer, we were able to increase that by 30K through negotiation. I think that's what I had for tangible stuff. Like for intangible stuff, I mean, as a result of me not being able to kind of, bring clarity to certain situations not being able to goal set and like have a few things in focus, I left a lot of things unfinished, and like that really affected confidence in a certain way, self-esteem too. And by being able to have a well-formed structure with some kind of clarity, which you and Natalie helped with, I was able to really kind of drive that to success. The bunch of these goals that we were setting through the coaching session.
What were some couple other goals that you worked on in coaching, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, so it was not just professional, right? Like, I mean, I think fortunately or unfortunately, I think like during our coaching session, like I went through a lot of different setbacks, and like some of them were good. Like it was something for me to deal with. Like, for example, my partner moving out was like a great thing for her career, but like it took me some time to kind of understand that. But then, the layoff was also very unexpected, and like that just added on top of the emotional strain along with, my partner moving out. So, like apart from the whole kind of professional context of the job search, like we were also able to kind of talk about these personal items, and like we were also having discussions on how to talk to my partner's parents and like prepare for those kind of conversations later. So it was a mix of things within the umbrella of my life that we talked about.
So it's not just career, anything that comes in the way of the career, improving career, we worked on all of that.
Exactly, exactly. So I was really fortunate to be mentored and supported by you and Natalie at that point. Like, so was that kind of emotional support around that time really helped. Having actionable items that I could kind of work on and deal with those the challenging phase also helped me, be clear of what I need to do. What I got out of it was like being like water. Basically, you feel whatever you feel, but time box whatever you're doing and move forward.
Yeah. And you also mentioned somewhere that, presenting your value effectively helped you negotiate. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, so, like the whole self-esteem, confidence things that I talked about earlier, they were a result of more fundamental things that I had either neglected or, there was a subconscious thing that was happening for me where I was very self-critical. Like, even if I was doing something good, and if somebody told me that I was doing a good job, I wouldn't believe them because, like, internally, I would just think that, like they're just saying it for what it is. Like being self-critical helps, but only to a certain extent. Like, you observe and then you act on it. But like if you just be critical of yourself, it tends to be more negative than positive. And that's what I realized through the coaching sessions. That is what I was doing. And that was affecting my confidence in interviews as well. Like even though things were going well, like I would momentarily pause in interviews and just think about if I'm kind of going the right way, if the interviewer is looking positively at whatever I'm doing. That really affected my whole like self-worth and like what I brought into those interviews at least.
And you
And
brought that also in the negotiations later on.
exactly, yeah, like it took up so much space that like, solving for those problems, realizing those like helped create solutions in like different realms of life, like not just in the interview process.
Beautiful. And self-worth, once you start to believe in yourself, it just, people see that in you, and they're able to, in the professional setting, you get a lot more in return in terms of money and titles and all that.
Yeah, a professional setting really rewards people with high sense of confidence and self-worth.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. And so now that you have changed jobs, have done a good negotiation, what are things now looking like? What are you looking forward to in the next year?
Starting my new role, I'm also excited to move to Seattle. Like I've been in Boston for the past 6.5 years now, and I'm excited to.
Until the rain hits you. But we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, I know about that. I think that's something I'll have to deal with, but I'm still pretty excited to just be in a new place, connect with people I know there. I know a couple of people there, so starting the new role, and like partner has been really patient throughout this whole process and also been really helpful. So, the time that I spent in this whole process, like I have to somehow find a way to give it back to her, and like I'll be, I'm kind of excited to use some of the time.
And has coaching helped you in any way to be ready for the next role?
For sure, I think in terms of the intangible stuff that we talked about, that is so powerful, having a better sense of self, being more confident in anything that you do, having a better sense of self-worth is so important. Like everything that you do is impacted by it. And this is what I realized as I gained a better sense of understanding of all these terms. I think it was a learning journey, and it still continues to be about what these things mean for an individual. What value do I hold for these traits, and how can I get better is like something that I'll keep on working on. But these things itself, I think it definitely adds to the preparation for anything that a person might do. And in that way, definitely will help my role. This is the first time I'll be onboarding as a senior engineer. So I'm pretty sure, like, there will be a lot of drinking from the fire hose and a lot of expectations thrown. But I do feel well equipped and like resilient with, the frameworks and tools now that I have to tackle those.
Awesome. Good, good. And let's shift gears a little bit and talk about any concerns or doubts you had before starting coaching. What were your biggest doubts? Whether coaching would work for you or not, and whether to do coaching or not?
Yeah, yeah. So, as I said, around when I saw your talk and like we had that conversation, even if I thought about it, like it was pretty distant. Like I wasn't able to see how it would fit into my daily life because like I felt like I was already doing a lot and, I didn't have a good understanding of where my time was going. So with that, I think my perspective was that like, hey, I'm doing so much already. Like, how can I kind of fit in something with which requires so much commitment, and how would I be true to myself and my coach with whatever we need to do and cover in coaching. So I,
And I
I I
remember
would
it being
definitely.
your first time also, you were wondering
My
whether
first
it's.
time, yeah, exactly. With my first time, I didn't have an idea of what coaching really is. So, like, it added skepticism in a way. But then, like, I was also in the mindset, I was very open minded in a way to approach this, and hearing your experience, your background, like connecting that to where I would professionally want to be kind of gave me some rope there. And like, I felt really comfortable stepping into this whole space of trying out coaching with you. And it was really rewarding.
And I'm glad to hear that. And looking back, what would you say to yourself now that you have this confidence, you have this job, you've gone through coaching? What would you say that version of yourself?
I think I was really open minded in my approach, considering this new avenue of coaching. And around that phase in my life, like everything, like aligned. And I think it was a great time when Yogi reached out, got me to consider more about coaching. And yeah, and with everything in front of me, what was there left to do was just to trust the process and take the leap of faith. And that's what I did. And what I learned out of that is, with any other new avenues, opportunities that come up, I think it's really important to do that, consider that, be more open minded, and trust the process. Really, yeah, of course, like there was a lot of work to do, pushed out of my comfort zone, and I had to kind of really have those hard hitting like conversations with myself, like also kind of act on a lot of feedback I was given. Really helped me be a better person, like professionally and in my personal self.
And finally, is there something else, anything else you would like to say to someone who is thinking of joining our coaching program, isn't sure about it, working with us? What would you tell them?
Going with Yogi and Natalie, if you're unsure, if you're also a first timer like me, like you're really trying to connect the dots of like where a coaching would help you, I would say take the leap. Like coaching with Yogi, it definitely goes beyond professional advice, and it gives you a framework to handle life, your goals, any challenges that you want to take head on. Also, in his program, was able to meet a lot of like-minded folks who don't have to be in the same place that I was in, but their perspectives, their challenges that they faced really shared a lot around what they were facing, what they were doing to solve those problems. And like Yogi's approach to having an open space where people can talk about their challenges, share their wins, and do some solutioning was really kind of helpful to all those people who came forward with their questions, and like to other people listening in, which gave them a perspective of problems and challenges looked like for these other folks and what they were doing to solve those. It really kind of reinforced what they should be doing to take another look at their challenges and goals and keep on working towards it.
Yeah, and I think this is something many people might not understand. That people think, oh, I want people who have exactly my challenges, but having different challenges and different viewpoints and being able to listen to them in a very vulnerable and authentic setting can be very powerful, as you mentioned.
Yeah, certainly. There's a lot of things that you don't know, and yeah, what you don't know, you don't know. So, like, if you're given an opportunity to try something out and it's new, might as well, right? And I think that's going to be my motto for any new pursuit that I have in life.
Awesome. This is good. I think this is a good time to wrap it up. Thank you, Ashwin, so much for your time working with us. It was a blessing and it was a pleasure and honor to work with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Yogi. You were so nice to me, and like the whole coaching session that we had with you and Natalie really kind of opened gates in my head and gates to new opportunities.
Awesome. I'd love to hear that. Thank you.
Unlock your full potential with Yogi Sharma. Like and subscribe for more videos.